Alright, what's up everybody? Joe Dobby here, back at it again with another tournament experience. I played in the Pro Play Games 1K tournament today, January 30th. I had a ton of fun playing this deck actually. I managed to end up placing 36th out of 100 players, which isn't too bad, honestly. By the third round, I was actually top 16, but unfortunately, I suffered a few losses, 4 losses to be exact, and was not able to recoup and end up at a good spot, but still, 36, pretty great. So, I just want to dive into the games, right? While you kind of look at the deck list before I get into how it works. So, first match was against Michael. Shout out Michael, you're a great opponent. I was against Omnimon Blue, and I took it 2-0, got the victory there. Game 1, he struggled to build, had to hard cast a Metal Garurumon turn 3, and I was able to answer that with Trump Sword very quickly. He had a rough hand, and, you know, the Trump Swords I was able to take care of that way. Also, when he would swing with Metal Garurumon, he'd get into a Boltmon. It became a very big issue. Game 2, I had a well-timed Chimeramon trying to play around the Omnimon evolution there, and luckily the Metal Garurumon that he had once again hit a Venom Aotusmon and just wasn't able to rebuild a stack. So I capitalized as well on his lack of tamers to hold on to the memory as much as I could, keeping him at only 1 or 2. So game 2, I was actually facing Robert in this match, and this was such an exciting purple mirror match. I'm actually going to do gameplay of this because this was so fun. It was just back and forth. Game 1 was a Chimeramon party. Oh, by the way, I took it 2-1, but it was a very close 2-1. It was a very exciting 2-1. Game 1, it was a Chimeramon party. I managed to do an amazing Were Garurumon inheritable play to seal the deal. I got to attack 3 times and actually knock out key things on his board, allowing me to take out both security and swing for game. In game 2, my opponent took it by swarming me hard. He was able to get a lot of early security checks in and close out there. And in the final match, my Millennium managed to seal the deal for me again against this mirror. Removal for days was key, and Night Raid came out at a very opportune time, allowing me to take the victory. In match 3, I was facing Bishop, who ended up winning the entire tournament, and he was playing a purple toolbox deck. I think it was a toolbox deck. The only mega I really ended up seeing was Beelzemon. Game 1, I probably had the worst hand in the entire tournament, in my entire experience at the tournament, and he just kept, and I had to keep playing level 4 and level 5 Digimon. And I got punished for that because I had a mat out and he didn't have a tamer. And I was like, okay, you know, I couldn't even keep him to 1 or 2 because all my cards were costing me 4 and above. And it was just really difficult from that. It's like he had a tamer regardless of of not having one because of what I was playing. And in game 2, I had a slightly better hand. I opened with 2 level 5s and 1 level 6 though, which made it a little bit of a problem. I hesitated to rush into level 6 because I didn't want to give him too much memory. You know, normally I wouldn't hesitate to drop a level 5 into level 6, but after being swarmed and having a lot of rookies just strike into my security like that, I felt like too much memory would be lethal. And you know what? I ended up being too late anyway. I got rookie purpled into oblivion, and he closed out by topping it all off with a Millenniumon. In match 4, I was facing Josh. Shout out Josh, great opponent. I had a really good start and came out strong. My early rookie swings ended up allowing me to build a good board state, get that leeway because he had 2 security cards left in my from what I can recall, and I still had the 5. While that was going on, I managed to go wide and seal the deal and prevent his blockers from doing anything. Game 2 though, he managed to pull off a pretty nice Beelzemon Millennium combo and remove my board. We really took turns dropping removal, so you know, in these mirror matches it all falls down to who drops what first and who gets to their pieces first to close out the game. In game 3, I managed to strike with rookies early despite having 2 Millenniumon in my hand the entire game, literally from first hand all the way towards the end. It was crazy. The lucky draws carried me all the way to buy me time and then seal the deal with Millie, and I managed to close out by removing key targets. Match 5 was probably one of the most exciting matches, second to my only second to the first mirror I had, and it was against Max Depera. Shout out Max Depera. If you don't follow him, find him on Twitch. And game 1 victory went to Max. He played very well. We were attacking back and forth. Like, he would swing with something, I'd swing back with a Devimon and swing with something else, and he managed to close out with Omnimon, and at that point it was just really difficult to respond. Game 2, I took it. I managed to attack with rookies earlier and build a stronger stack in the end, because every time he got to a level 5, I did my best to punish that and remove it with a Chimeramon, while initially building a board with rookies. It came down to 1 memory game 3. Absolutely crazy. I'm gonna do the video for this as well, because we both had Digimon in raising area, and my Kari, Max played Groundramon from 1 memory, so I ended up at 4. If he played anything else, like a Dark Tyrannomon, and put me to 5, Kari would have put me to 6 instead of 5, and I would have ended the game there. But unfortunately, that 1 memory was not enough for me to seal the deal, and with both of us having Digimon in the raising area, it was difficult for me to find a way to remove not only the Groundramon that he put up, but the Dark Tyrannomon in the raising area as well. If I were put to 6, I would have actually been able to Digivolve the rookie that I had into a Vilemon, and then I would have been able to Chimeramon something else, all that stuff. Very exciting stuff. 6th match, I was against Nikolai with a blue Omnimon. This was just a 0-2. Game 1, I apologize to my opponent, but I did not enjoy that game at all. Rough, it wasn't fun. My true draws were Millenniumon one after the other. My first hand had a Heat Viper and a couple level 4s with no rookies. I just had to accept the loss and move on. Game 2 was another loss. It was much better. I had a better opening hand, and it was there was a good amount of back and forth. But, you know, Omnimon does as Omnimon does, and with Hammer Spark, you can do all kinds of things with Omnimon and your 2-cost Digimon in blue. My opponent played excellently, and there were just things that were out of my control. In match 7, I was against Pat. Really cool guy. It was his first PPG tournament. I ended up losing to Black Millenniummon Turbo, which is really strong as well. Game 1 was a one-sided match. I was really unable to gather my pieces. Every time he would Digivolve, he would drop a Hagurumon and strike into my security. Game 2, it was one-sided for me, because I ended up being able to build a board while dropping rookies and sneaking my security checks in as I built to close out with a Millenniummon. And in Game 3, ultimately, I was overwhelmed by board presence. A really well-timed Volcanic Dramon took a lot of my rookies out, and at that point, he had 4 attackers to my 2 security, and I had nothing on the board, and I was just GG from there. But that said, I had a ton of fun. Shout out to all the players. You guys did absolutely amazing. And I'm very glad I went 3-4, playing the entire 7 games against actual people, and not like drops from last time where I would just sit there for an hour and you know, take the win, but not really feel like a win. That said, we are here at my deck profile. So this is a very simple deck. It's got a lot of ways to address specific board states. It can adjust to what your opponent is putting down, which I like the most. So we'll start off with the 4 Yamon and the 1 Pagumon. I'm not looking to trash too many things, and you'll see why. This deck really wants to go tall and use Metal Garurumon and Night Raids to go wide as you go tall. So the Yamon adds that extra DP to get Venom Eotismon and Boltmon over the 12k security Digimon that could potentially be lurking. I'm running 2 copies of Devimon just for memory choke, just to be able to keep my opponent on 1 or 2 when I can. Running 2 copies of Impmon for the single Beelzemon I have, easily Night Raidable, easily brought back by Metal Garurumon, so 2 was enough for me. 3 copies of Gabumon, good inheritable effect, allows me to draw and really get my options, which is something that I really need in this deck, so I have more opportunities to respond to a board state and adjust accordingly. I've got 3 copies of Tapermon, allows me to draw 1, good Night Raid fuel and good Metal Garurumon fuel, so awesome. Also good Chimeramon fodder, which is awesome. I've got 3 copies of Tsukaimon for memory control, great inheritable effect, especially when paired with Vilemon, Devimon, what have you, really good card. 4 copies of Vilemon. Naturally, I'm not running any Piedmon, so I do need 4 of my blockers. I'm treating this kind of like a Millennium. It's more of a Venom Aeotismon turbo, and that turbo is offset by, is kind of like adjusted by the Kari. But with that said, 4 Vilemon was a staple here. It was just a must-have. 1 copy of Garurumon. So this is situational. If I end up with the Garurumon, great. I'll get memory for doing things like using Chimeramon on a Tapermon, or using effects on Where Garurumon to get extra memory. So 1 of was fine. 4 copies of Devimon. Naturally, I need that Vengeance effect. I need to be able to take out key targets when Trump Sword remains unavailable because the opponent's rested Digimon, etc. 1 copy of Dividramon. This is another situational thing. Like if I get to my Boltmon, I try to focus the Boltmon on the Dividramon Tsukaimon stack. So if you take out the Boltmon, if you're forced to take him out, I get even more memory than what I would have if you like played an Omnimon or Trump Sorted or used Guy Force or what have you. 3 copies of Myotismon just to be able to get to that Boltmon, get to that Venom, and get to that Metal Garurumon, just to get to my level 6s ultimately. 3 copies of Chimeramon because removal. Chimeramon actually gave me so much value in this entire tournament, and I thought initially that I would really struggle with playing Chimeramon over and over again, but it really worked out. Chimeramon, one after the other, is a good thing. If you're playing him once and that's it, you got to be very smart of when to play him. Make sure that your opponent does not have like a champion waiting that could easily go up to a Mega, especially against like Red or Blue Omnimon. Especially if you're giving them like 5, 6, 7 security. It's crazy. 1 copy of Where Garurumon, and I'm so glad I had the 1 copy. This guy won me a game. He won me a couple games, and those games ended up to match wins. So Where Garurumon, when attacking once per turn by destroying one of your other Digimon, this Digimon becomes active. So this actually pairs well if the stack of the Where Garurumon is not in the Millenniumon, because I could actually destroy my Millenniumon after it's attacked into security to restand whatever is on Garurumon, Where Garurumon, so that's great. And Millenniumon would actually come back, so boom. 3 copies of Venom Aeotismon, 4 cost to Evo, which is why the Kari in a sec you'll see is very important. But being able to put my opponent to 1 with Matt on Digivolution is also really great, but I think I didn't get to do that as often in this one, and Venom Aeotismon might be bumped down to a 2 of this time. 1 copy of Metal Garurumon. This guy came clutch too, because I was able to actually bring out rookies and have more attackers ultimately and win the game. So yeah, Metal Garurumon, shout out, really good card. I shouted out a card. Beelzemon, 1 copy. This is just a clutch Digivolution to be able to get rid of blockers or key level 4s that my opponent might want to stack up into. The 2 Impmon allows me to, like, if the Impmon, I'm swinging with security all the time, because if my opponent hits a Night Raid in security, Impmon's coming out. If Metal Garurumon's out, Impmon's coming out, and it's just a like 2 of was enough for me. Beelzemon is a really good card, and it allows me to actually get to Millenniumon quicker with the Kari. 2 copies of Boltmon, which I might bump to 3 this time. Boltmon is a 12k powerhouse that's only 2 cost. It's like the Plesiomon equivalent, the Phoenixmon equivalent. It's a really, really good card. I love it personally. Yeah, it's just, there's a lot of value in playing Boltmon, especially when the inheritables are stacked like Where Garurumon. 2 copies of Millenniumon, which in my opinion is a little better than Omnimon. The only issue is in purple and black, you don't have the turbo tools like Hammer Spark and cheap level 5s or level 4s actually, like to get up really quickly, like Gorillamon for example. We don't have a 1 cost level 4 in purple. But yeah, Millenniumon was a great closer the entire tournament. I only needed 1 of them to actually be in a very, very good spot. As long as 1 Millenniumon got out, there was a very good chance that I'd take it, depending on the timing. 3 copies of Night Raid. It's won me a couple games in the tournament because my opponent would hit security, Night Raid would seal the deal, bringing out a Tapermon, and I'd have much more attackers than he would have blockers, and that would seal the deal. So really great way to put your opponent to 1 as well, especially if you don't have rookies early. So you can attack with the rookie, the only rookie that you have, Night Raid, put your opponent to 1, bring a rookie back out. Heat Viper, just 1. Managed to use it I think twice in the whole tournament. Came clutch when it needed to. Not necessarily something I'll need all the time, so it was fine. 3 copies of Trump Sword, and Trump Sword actually came clutch for this tournament. Normally I'm super unlucky, but Trump Sword did very well, so I'll have to say. But I did draw Trump Sword twice a lot. Like, I draw 2 of my 3 Trump Swords almost every single game. I've never seen more than 2 Trump Swords in my security, so if you're facing me, you're in a good spot already. 3 copies of Matt because I really wanted to get to 3 memory as soon as I could. So the 3 copies were very important to me, and it worked out actually. Having Matt come out of security was amazing. Kari was the single spice I added to this deck, and it worked out very well. Like, I've had one or two of my opponents say, wow, Kari's gonna lose me the game. Because that means, like, so let's review Kari's effect. Start of your turn, if your security is less than 3, get +1 memory. So when you pair that with a Mat that at the start of your turn puts you to 3, if you have 3 or less memory, 3 or less security cards, you're going to 4 memory every turn from then on, and that allows me to immediately Digivolve into Venom and take out security cards, or immediately Digivolve into Beelzemon and knock out a level 4 blocker and still be able to attack, and then turbo up to Millenniumon, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, Kari put a lot of value, a lot of work into this deck, and unfortunately, I didn't get to showcase the whole best of it. The hands just don't line up sometimes, and I'm just unable to recoup from the struggle. But at the same time, I had a ton of fun. So with that said, gameplay will be edited and posted like weekly. I hope you guys enjoy it. And thanks for watching. Shout out to the people that supported me on Twitch and was there the whole time, like just lurking, watching the games, commenting on how exciting things were, how struggled things were. I love all of that. People using their points to let me rehydrate and stretch. Thank you so much. But yeah, that's it for me. And have a great day, guys. My Twitch will be in the link in the description below if you guys want to watch me practice and kind of deck build and do all that stuff. So thank you guys for watching.